Welcome to NFL World NFL Starts and Ends. I'm your host Jacob, and this is breaking news. This happened only in the course of a few hours ago, but I only saw it now. Is Robert Salah has been let go from the Jets. Jeff Ulbrich is the new interim head coach. And look, I understand the Jets are trying to make this look good. I mean, it was bad. They've been bad the last 2 weeks. But I'm gonna look at this as a glass half empty, not a glass half full. Because everyone's gonna say, "Oh yeah, it's Saleh's fault. Saleh's fault." No, it's not. It's not his fault. This team is defensively is really good. The team offensively is really good. They aren't on the same page. That's the problem. And I know we don't have the fancy lights and the fancy microphone right here, but I'm going to try and speak louder for this. You have a defensive head coach. So that means your defense should be really good, which it is. Firing Saleh does not make it better. It means, and you're telling those guys, you're telling Rodgers, you're telling all these guys, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Quincy Williams, you're telling all of them, we're a good defensive team, but Saleh needed to go. That does not fix your issues. Your offense is a problem. You can't push the ball. Now, if you're really looking at it, you say, well, Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. One he threw because the offense is too predictable. It's too predictable. They saw on film that when Aaron sees pressure and it's loaded up like that, he's going to audible to a quick slant to get the ball out of his hands quickly. The Vikings knew that. Brian Flores played coached under Bill Belichick for years and then became a head coach. He knew that they were going to bring, if they brought pressure, Aaron would go to a slant. So look like you simulate you bring pressure and then have 1 or 2 guys drop out. And by the time Aaron throws the football, he does not realize that not everyone is blitzing, I should say. Hang on, I'm going to load it. There we go. That's better. So that's what he did. And they did get an interception. Van Ginkel went for a pick 6. That's not on the offense of the Vikings. That's because your Jets offense could not realize that. Okay, bad interception. Next play. Next turnover. Rodgers forces the ball to Lazard. First of all, why on earth is he forcing it to Lazard? If anyone forced it to Garrett Wilson, why is he forcing it to Lazard? It makes no sense. Second off, he airmails the throw. So the throw's not open to begin with, but he airmails it anyway. So that's intercepted. But that's not on your defense. That's on your offense. That's not on Saleh. That's on Nathaniel Hackett. That is not on Saleh. That is on Aaron Rodgers. You see where I'm going with this? The last one, look, you have a chance to go win the game. Aaron decides he wants to throw the ball to the inside. Mike Williams thinks he's throwing it to the outside. So Mike Williams does not try to get in front of Stephon Gilmore. He's just trying to run by Stephon Gilmore, thinking Rodgers will throw it over here. Aaron wants to throw it to the inside, throws it to the inside, gets picked off by Stephon Gilmore. That is not against Robert Salah. That's not Robert Salah saying, hey, Aaron, throw the ball to the inside. That's not what he's saying. That's Aaron. That is not even Hackett. That is Aaron. So of two turnovers, they're Aaron's fault. The third one is also on Aaron, but as a whole, it's Nathaniel Hackett. You can't blame Saleh for that. Now everyone says, well, he took all the blame. Of course he did. Of course Saleh did. He's the fall guy. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to take the blame. That is what he's doing. Saleh is a great coach, and he'll be back in the NFL probably sooner than anyone expects. He's that good. He's a solid head coach, but he's a great coordinator. He shows personality. He's ready to go. He's raring every time. He's a great coach. The problem is this offense is awful. They try so hard to throw the football consistently. Now all of a sudden you put a guy, you had no offensive coach experience besides Nathaniel Hackett. Let me do it this way. When Tom Brady went to Tampa, he was the one guy outside of Gronk who knew the offense. Everyone else did not know the offense. And for a good portion of the year, about 10 to 12 weeks, him and Bruce Arians were trying to mesh their offenses together. Well, now go into what the Jets were doing. You had Rodgers. You were bringing in Lazard. You were bringing in Cobb. You were bringing in a lot of these Jet players who knew the offense, but they weren't starters. They weren't starters. Lazard was a second, but Rodgers was a third or fourth. Cobb was a third or fourth, excuse me. But you still had, okay, Garrett Wilson. You brought in Mike Evans this offseason. A lot of these guys had never done that. So it's new to them. So that's on besides Rodgers, Hackett, Lazard, Cobb, all of those guys never understood what they were doing. So it took a while. But since Rodgers wasn't out there, now it's one less guy. And you're putting Zach Wilson in a horrible position. And then you get this year, and Rodgers comes back. But Cobb is no longer there. So you lose a guy, but you gain a guy. And what ends up happening, and you bring in Mike Williams on the other side of that. Now you have all these guys who they've been around a little while, or a long time in the case of Mike Williams, or Tyron Smith, or John Simpson, or Morgan Moses, but they aren't used to Aaron Rodgers. So their system's off. The offensive line is struggling. Wide receivers are struggling. The running backs are struggling. When they do run the ball, they're actually pretty efficient. It's fun. They just don't run it. So if there's anything, the coach should be like, hey, let's run the ball more. Hey, Nathaniel, run the football. Run it. We need to run it. We got Braylon Allen, we got Breece Hall, we got all these guys. Run the football. They aren't doing it. That might be on Saleh, but that's also on Hackett. So even if you can put some blame on Saleh, most of the blame goes to Hackett and Rodgers. That's what I'm saying. Like, look, if the Devontae Adams wants to go to the Saints, okay, fine. But if he goes to the Jets, it's going to be a complete disaster because they're just not a good team offensively. They're 2-3 for a reason. And in those 3 games that they've lost, besides the first one, I don't know what this team is. That's the crazy part. Like, yes, they've lost close games. They've lost close games, but they've lost games that it almost shouldn't be that close in a way. They're winning games. They win games. They play well. But it's more because their defense is unrelenting. Like, they barely beat the Titans in, like, week 2. Okay, let's do it this way. They lost to San Francisco. Okay, San Francisco is a good team. They've lost to the Broncos. Okay, the Broncos have a good defense. They lost to the Vikings. Okay, the Vikings are 4-0 up to that point, now 5-0. So you think, okay, those are very good teams that they lost to. But look at how when they win, look at the offensive showings that they have had. It's not better. That's not on the head coach. The head coach might get blamed, but that's not on the head coach. I also want to finish this up here. I did not expect Saleh to get fired at whatever it was, 10 o'clock in the morning. I didn't expect it. I didn't even expect him to be the first head coach fired. I thought, maybe there would be another firing, but I wouldn't expect him after week 5 saying, oh, we need another direction. No. And then you put a guy who has no head coaching experience in Ulbrich. So there's a lot going on here, but they're putting all the blame on Robert Salah, which I 100% do not agree with. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.